Strong emotions and powerful memories are paying a visit to Bellevue. A replica of the Vietnam Wall is going up there. KOMO's John Sharifi was there as the panels went up and the memories came to life.
Watch your step, guys.
This is the third time in a decade the traveling wall has rolled into Western Washington.
Ready, lip.
And each time, Vietnam veteran Dan Daniels.
I got a couple Army guys over here, so I'm handicapped.
Everything up?
Like a gifted conductor,
All right.
has orchestrated the wall going up. He realizes if this replica didn't travel around the country, so many people wouldn't be able to say their goodbyes to friends, to family.
So that's one of the reasons why I do it. Plus the fact that on that panel right there, 8W, is a friend of mine.
James Hunt. Hunt was just 27 when he was killed in action. Dan Daniels will never forget that day, August 23rd, 1970.
Sadness. Definitely sadness. You know, anytime you lose somebody, friend, relative, it's something that, you know, you don't forget.
For veterans, the sadness never goes away.
It just takes you back 30 years. Like it was yesterday.
Roger Young was in the 317th Air Cavalry Squadron. So were his buddies Jerry Gillette and William Wallace.
William Wallace was going to be coming home in a few days.
To his wife, to his newborn baby.
He didn't come back, and a bunch of us did.
And now those who did survive can pay their respects to the veterans who never made it home. In Bellevue, John Sharifi, KOMO 4 News.
The Vietnam Veterans Memorial will be on display in Bellevue at Sunset Hills Memorial Park this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Steve Poole, John Sharifi, and I will be there reporting live from the traveling wall this Friday on KOMO 4 News at 5 and 6:30. For more information about the event, go to KOMOTV.com or call the number there at the bottom of your screen, 425-643-6892. A special Vietnam memorial is already making an impact on people here. The traveling replica of the Vietnam Wall officially opens tomorrow at Sunset Hills Memorial Park in Bellevue, but some people came out to see it today, including Ward Brandman, who thought it was important to take his children, even though he doesn't know anyone who died in Vietnam.
We don't know anyone. There's no names that we can connect to out here, but I think it's important enough that kids this age and kids this age see this.
The Vietnam Memorial will be officially open to the public tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll honor Vietnam vets by broadcasting live from the memorial on KOMO 4 News at 5 and 6:30. For more information on the Vietnam Wall experience, you can go to KOMOTV.com or call 425-643-6892. A special Vietnam memorial is beginning to make an impact on people here. The traveling replica of the Vietnam Wall officially opens tomorrow at Sunset Hills Memorial Park in Bellevue, but some people came out to get a sneak peek today. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll honor Vietnam vets by broadcasting live from the memorial on KOMO 4 News at 5 and 6:30. For more information on the Vietnam Wall experience, you can go to KOMOTV.com.
Thank you, Steve.
We're planning special coverage for you tomorrow on our 5 and 6:30 newscast of a traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, which is now up and ready for visitors in Bellevue's Sunset Hills Memorial Park. This evening, volunteers who set up the wall and who will coordinate this weekend's event are holding their own candlelight vigil at the wall to remember, to reflect, and to heal.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm speaking to the 58,240 behind me, we feel you're here with us. We've missed you. We miss you still. And because we will not forget you, we are here tonight and we'll be here throughout this weekend.
The wall is on display all weekend in Bellevue, 24 hours a day through Sunday night. Admission is free. Names of the more than 58,000 Americans who died in the Vietnam War are etched on the wall. Materials for rubbing or tracing names are provided for free. You see a solemn military ceremony that was held tonight. Be sure to join us tomorrow when Steve Poole, John Sharifi, and I will be live at the Vietnam Wall Experience on KOMO 4 News at 5 and 6:30 p.m. For more information about the event, go to our website, komotv.com, or call 425-643-6892.
Now, the team that brings you more local news. Live from Fisher Plaza, KOMO 4 News. First for local news.
The impact of the Vietnam War is being felt again this morning with the traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. KOMO's Theron Zahn is at the wall this morning in Bellevue with more on this moving tribute. Theron?
Gary, this should be a very emotional and touching weekend for thousands of people who plan to visit this memorial. Vietnam veterans, their family and friends will get a chance to visit and reflect at this traveling monument to the thousands of Americans who made the ultimate sacrifice for the country. Last night, volunteers who set up the wall and who will coordinate this weekend's event held their own candlelight vigil at the wall to remember, to reflect, and to heal.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm speaking to the 58,240 behind me, we feel you're here with us. We've missed you. We miss you still. And because we will not forget you, we are here tonight and we'll be here throughout this weekend.
The wall is on display all weekend in Bellevue, 24 hours a day through Sunday night. Admission The wall is on display all weekend in Bellevue, 24 hours a day through Sunday night. Admission is free. Names of more than 58,000 Americans who died in the Vietnam War are etched on the wall. Materials for rubbing or tracing the names are provided free. Also, be sure to join KOMO's Dan Lewis, Steve Poole, and John Sharifi on KOMO 4 News tonight at 5 and 6:30. They will be broadcasting live from the wall with special reports on this traveling tribute and the healing effect it has on all who visit. For more information about the event, you can go to our website, komotv.com, or you can call 425-643-6892. And if you didn't get that phone number, it's also available there at komotv.com. Thousands of people, again, expected to be at the wall this coming weekend. A chance for them to pay tribute and to do some healing. Reporting live in Bellevue, Theron Zahn, KOMO 4 News.
Yeah, a very rare opportunity, Theron. Thank you. Well, it took the lives of nearly 60,000 Americans and touched the lives of millions more. This morning, the sacrifice of those who gave their lives in the Vietnam War is being remembered. KOMO's Theron Zahn joins us live from Sunset Hills Memorial Park in Bellevue, the site of a traveling Vietnam War memorial. Theron?
Gary, organizers say they expect thousands of people to stop by this massive wall covered in names, many of them looking for specific names to trace and to etch and take home with them. Others are expected to stop by simply to pay their respects at this traveling monument. Last night, volunteers who set up the wall held their own candlelight vigil at the wall to remember, reflect, and heal. Now, the wall is on display all weekend in Bellevue, 24 hours a day through Sunday night. Admission is free. Names of more than 58,000 Americans who died in the Vietnam War are etched on the wall. Materials for rubbing or tracing are provided for free. Also, be sure to join Dan Lewis and Steve Poole and John Sharifi tonight on KOMO 4 News at 5 and 6:30. They will be broadcasting live from the wall with special reports on this traveling tribute and the effect it has on all who visit. For more information about the event, you can go to our website, komotv.com, or you can dial this number, 425-643-6892. But a very special weekend ahead, especially for Vietnam veterans and anyone who has ever served in the armed forces. Reporting live in Bellevue, Theron Zahn, KOMO 4 News.
Yeah, Theron, I heard someone here at the station mention yesterday they went down and found their mother's cousin's name on the wall, even though they never knew him. It was very powerful to them to see that name there etched in that way. Thank you for the update. All right.
Now, the team that brings you more local news. Live from Fisher Plaza, KOMO 4 News. First for local news.
It is all about remembering and healing. The traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall is here. You will feel the impact coming up live. Thousands of people died, thousands of others were injured, and it changed millions of American lives forever. The impact of the Vietnam War is being felt again this morning with a traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Comos Theron is at that wall this morning in Bellevue with more on this moving tribute. Theron.
Gary, thousands of people are expected to stop by this wall, this replica of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. To give you some idea of how many people they expect here, take a look at the chairs they have set up. Now, these are for folks to take in the ceremony and also give them a chance to just sit and reflect on the wall. Now, atop the wall this morning, you can see the flags of each branch of the armed services, of the thousands of people listed on this traveling monument to those who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. Last night, volunteers who set up the wall and who will coordinate this weekend's event held their own candlelight vigil at the wall to remember, to reflect, and to heal.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm speaking to the 58,240 behind me, we feel you're here with us. We've missed you. We miss you still. And because we will not forget you, we are here tonight, and we'll be here throughout this weekend.
Now, the wall is on display all weekend here in Bellevue, 24 hours a day through Sunday night. Admission is free. More than 58,000 names of Americans who died in the Vietnam War are etched on the wall. Now, if you'd like to do some rubbing or tracing of any of those names, materials will be provided for free. Also, we have a special report coming up tonight at 5 and 6:30, a live report with Como's Dan Lewis, Steve Poole, and John Sharifi. They'll be giving special reports on how this traveling tribute heals people who come to visit it, and the special stories related to this wall. Now, for more information on the event, you can go to our website, comotv.com, or you can dial the number right there on your screen. It's 425-643-6892. But a very special weekend ahead for Vietnam veterans and veterans of all armed services. If you don't have a chance to come down here again, we'll have complete coverage coming up on KOMO 4 News at 5 and 6:30 p.m. Reporting live in Bellevue, Theron Zahn, KOMO 4 News.
Theron, have you had a chance to look around at the wall at all? And if so, what have your impressions been?
It's pretty ominous. You can see just how long it is, and just to think about how many names are listed on this wall. Thousands of names in small print, and the wall just seems to stretch on forever at times when you look at it. It's a very touching and a very overwhelming experience just to see it here in person.
Yeah, 58,240, a pretty powerful number.
Yes,
Theron, thank you. It took the lives of nearly 60,000 Americans and touched the lives of millions more. This morning, the sacrifice of those who gave their lives in the Vietnam War is being remembered and honored. Comos Theron Zahn joins us live from Sunset Hills Memorial Park in Bellevue, the site of a traveling Vietnam War memorial. Theron?
Memorial makes such an incredible impact on those who visit. Let's take a look at just one name, Arnold W. Luke. Then let's pull out and show you just how far these names go. They just seem to go on forever as this black wall stretches for seems like forever as it goes on and on. People there just checking names this morning. Organizers of the Vietnam Wall experience say they expect thousands of family members of those veterans and friends to pay their respects at this
And I'm Dan Lewis, live at the Vietnam Wall Experience 2001 in Bellevue's Sunset Hills Memorial Park. Thousands of people are expected to come experience this wall this weekend. We have all the details for you coming up.
And this might just be the granddaddy of all garage sales at the home of a Microsoft millionaire. We'll show you what's for sale and where to go just ahead.
And I'm Steve Poole, also here at the Vietnam Wall Experience. We're going to talk more about some folks who have been affected by the war and, of course, give you a forecast to cover the entire weekend. That's also just ahead.
Good evening, I'm Kathy Gertson. KOMO 4 News is coming up next.
Now, the team that brings you more local news. Live from Fisher Plaza, KOMO 4 News. First for local news.
Though walls keep us apart, this wall, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, brings us together. This weekend, tens of thousands of people will visit the wall, not in Washington, D.C., but here in Bellevue, to remember, to reflect, and to heal. Good evening, I'm Dan Lewis reporting live from Sunset Hills Memorial Park in Bellevue.
And I'm Kathy Gertson in the Como studios at Fisher Plaza. The newest details on that Burien blast in just a moment.
First, we start here in Bellevue at the Vietnam Wall experience. An experience indeed for thousands of people this weekend as they come here to feel some emotions, to have a lot of memories from people lost in the past. There are 58,000 names on this wall, and people will come here to touch these panels of black granite. More than 58,000 names are etched on this wall. They're the names of sons, husbands, brothers, fathers, and friends who were killed in the Vietnam War. Young men from all walks of life who answered our country's call to serve and who paid the ultimate price. This memorial acknowledges their sacrifice and gives visitors a chance to remember, to reflect, and to heal. Over the next hour and on our news at 6:30, we will give you all the information you need to know about the Vietnam Wall experience here in Bellevue this weekend. The official program tonight begins at 7, but you can come here now, and a lot of people have. But the program at 7 is a salute to women who have served. The keynote speaker is retired Air Force General Marcia Clark. And as you look down on the scene now from pictures we took just moments ago from Air 4, you see some of the people who have come here. And you can come anytime, 24 hours a day, between now and Sunday at midnight. And I can tell you a lot of people have already come here to experience the Vietnam Wall, and they have told me some very wonderful stories, which we will be relaying to you over the next hour. But right now, let's go back to Kathy Gertson at Fisher Plaza for the rest of the news of the day. Kathy?
We'll be checking back with you. Thank you, Dan. Let's go back live now to my partner, Dan Lewis, who is at the Vietnam Wall experience in Bellevue. What a sight, Dan.
It really is, Kathy, and I have to tell you that it is a very powerful experience for everyone who comes here. You can walk up to that wall. You can find the names from a directory of someone you lost, someone you knew. You can engrave the name. You can touch it and trace it. You can just look at it where it is engraved. You can feel the name. You can see reflections of yourself in the granite wall, which is a very interesting way to look at this. And you can also, of course, just take in all 58,000 names and be somewhat overwhelmed by the experience here. With me is Como's John Sharifi, who has a couple of stories to share with us today. And he has been talking with a lot of the people who have come here, and they leave flowers and they leave notes to their loved ones. Some of the ones I saw, a lot of them say, I love you, I miss you, I pray for you every day. Let's go to John.
As you can see, Dan, people have been bringing flowers, and they have been bringing heartfelt messages that they've been leaving by the wall. In fact, there's one message all the way down at the other end of the wall that has a dollar attached to it, and the note reads, "Here's your buck back, thanks for the beer," and it's signed, "Your friend Jim." You know, we've been here since the beginning, since they started setting up the wall on Wednesday. Volunteers began setting up, and most of them are Vietnam veterans who fought with the young men and women whose names are etched into the wall.
Watch your step, guys.
This is the third time in a decade the traveling wall has rolled into Western Washington.
Ready? Lip.
And each time, Vietnam veteran Dan Daniels,
I got a couple Army guys over here, so I'm handicapped.
like a gifted conductor,
All right.
has orchestrated the wall going up. He realizes if this replica didn't travel around the country, so many people wouldn't be able to say their goodbyes to friends, to family.
So that's one of the reasons why I do it. Plus the fact that on that panel right there, 8W, is a friend of mine.
James Hunt. Hunt was just 27 when he was killed in action. Dan Daniels will never forget that day, August 23rd, 1970.
Sadness. Definitely sadness. It, you know, anytime you lose somebody, friend, relative, it's something that, you know, you don't forget.
When Daniels returned from Vietnam, he remembers asking his father, who served in World War II, a simple question.
And I asked him one time, I said, when does the pain go away? He says, never. And he's right.
There are more than 58,000 names on the wall.
Yes, too many. Too many. They're brave men. They're our heroes. That's why we're here, is because of them.
58,000 names, 58,000 stories, like the one about William Wallace, who was in Roger Young's Air Cavalry Squadron.
William Wallace was going to be coming home in a few days. And I remember when he got on the ship, when he was loading up in the ship, he put a picture up on the instrument panel of his newborn baby girl and his wife. And he was so excited about going home. He only had about a week left in country.
Wallace never came home, and so his buddy, Roger Young, wonders about that baby girl, wonders about what might have been.
You hate to lose good men, and you wonder what they might have contributed to America since.
All those men who never got a chance, who never made it home, and those who did survive live with the sadness.
You don't ever forget it. You keep it. It goes with you to your grave.
For Dan Daniels, for many of the volunteers who helped set up the wall, this is, they say, their way of giving back to the men and women who died in combat who never made it home. Dan?
John, thank you very much. We'll have much more here from the Vietnam Wall experience in just a moment. Of course, we're going to tell you specifically where we are, tell you how to get here so you can take part in this great event this weekend. But right now, let's go back to Kathy.
Thank you, Dan.
There are 58,000 names on the wall here, the Vietnam Wall experience, 58,000 different stories, 58,000 lives lost, and this weekend, more than 58,000 lives remembered. Welcome back to Como 4 News. I'm Dan Lewis, and we are at the Vietnam Wall Experience 2001 at Sunset Hills Memorial Park here in Bellevue. If you're interested in coming out, we want to give you the information that you need to know. For more information on the events happening this weekend at the Vietnam Wall Experience, including maps and parking information, go to our website, comotv.com, and click on the Vietnam Wall Experience logo. If you don't have access to the web, you can call this number, 425-643-6892. There's an official program here tonight at 7 o'clock, although I want to remind you that you can come here at any time over the weekend to experience the wall. But one of the many women who did serve in Vietnam joins me now, tonight's keynote speaker, retired Air Force General Marcia Clark. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to ask you, first of all, how does seeing the wall, touching the wall, affect you?
It's very powerful. I have seen the wall actually many times in Washington, D.C., and I stopped by here yesterday when it was only, the wall was up, but not everything else was in place. And I was astounded to find myself that as I got out of my car and came down, walked up and touched the wall, that I really felt an emotional reaction to it, which was, it surprised me since I have seen the wall many times.
We don't talk a lot about the women who served, the women who have served in Vietnam and in the military. What do you want us to know about the women who served in Vietnam?
I hope that tonight, through my remarks, I can convey what women in the military in many wars felt, what happened to them. For many of them, it was the same as our brothers in arms. And the women in Vietnam, most of them were nurses. There are 8 names on the wall. They are all nurses. One was killed in combat. A flight nurse was killed when the C-5A crashed out of Saigon as they were airlifting the Vietnamese orphans out of there. And so the women played a very significant role relative to the casualties, relative to the injuries in ministering to all of the male soldiers, airmen, sailors, what have you.
Retired General Marcia Clark, thank you very much for joining us here today. And I hope that you get a chance as well to come out and experience this, because it truly is very powerful. And it is a beautiful night to do this if you have the opportunity to come out tonight, because unfortunately the weather might be changing a bit for the weekend. But remember, rain or shine, you can come out here and enjoy this experience. Right now, let's get an update on the forecast from Steve Poole. Steve?
Thank you very much, Dan. I think one of the things that makes this whole memorial so moving in many ways is when you compare it to other memorials that have been put up for various efforts in wars, it's often just sort of an individual icon. But here you have each and every name, and I think it really gives you a sense of the sacrifices that were made on an individual basis. Many of us have connections to Vietnam, even if we had no relatives or anyone we know killed over there. I know I had 2 uncles there, and they came out okay physically, but I think mentally it did change them quite a bit. If you were planning on coming over to this Vietnam Wall experience or all of the other festivals going on, you need a forecast, so we're going to try to get that for you. That's our bottom line here. We're back now to the Vietnam Wall experience. One of the groups, if you will, that's going to be performing here tonight and tomorrow is a group called Pacific Sound. It is a chorus group made up of 150 women who are just doing a remarkable job, and I want to give you a sense of the performance they're going to put on tonight and tomorrow. We went to their rehearsal. Take a look at this.
I have a dream for all the people of the world, that peace, hope, and freedom shall bring. Yes, I have a dream. I have a dream for all men.
I'm joined now by Cynthia Doyer and by Marguerite Bodel, who are members of the chorus and also can tell us a little bit about them. You folks have recently won an honor for your performance. Tell us about that.
Oh, we did. We represent the Sweet Adeline organization, and we have been to international contest last fall in Orlando, and we came out third in the world. We're really
third in the world. That's terrific.
Right.
And of course, you'll be here tonight and tomorrow, correct?
Yes, we will.
All right, I want to talk to Marguerite for a second because this wall means so much to you. You have a personal connection. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it was. My brother's name is on the wall. He was just 20 and had only been in Vietnam 3 months when he was killed by shrapnel that came into the bunker and was killed instantly along with several other Marines.
So this obviously means so very much to you to be able to perform here and also to see the wall. Is this your first time having seen the wall?
I have been to the one in Washington, D.C., and but it's an opportunity for a lot more of the family members to come and for his nieces and nephews that were never able to know him to come and honor him.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Cynthia and Marguerite. Just a couple of the folks who will be here as this weekend unfolds. It's going to be really, really something to see. All right, Dan, back to you.
Thank you, Steve. Tonight indeed would be a wonderful night to come down and enjoy this experience. I see quite a few people filing down this way right now as the workday comes to an end as we head into the weekend. There's much more to tell you and show you, stories to relate to you from the Vietnam Wall experience. We'll be back here in a moment, but right now let's go back to Kathy.
The voices of those women were just wonderful. We'll see you in a minute. Thank you, Dan.
First for local news, Dan Lewis, Kathy Gertson, Steve Poole, Eric Johnson. Como 4 News continues.
Welcome back. At just after 5:30, I'm Kathy. And thousands are expected to gather this weekend to see the Vietnam Wall experience. It's an exact replica of the Vietnam Wall Memorial in Washington, D.C., which travels the country. This weekend, it's in Bellevue. And my partner, Dan Lewis, is broadcasting live from the memorial this evening. Dan, let's turn it over to you.
Thank you, Kathy. The wall here is slightly smaller than the one in Washington, D.C., but the emotions, believe me, are just as large. Local organizers have been working for months to bring this replica here to Bellevue, and it's really paying off big time for them right now. But for the men and women involved in this project, it was a labor of love and a service to local veterans, their families, and friends.
Well, good evening and welcome here to our first meeting of the Vietnam Wall Experience 2001.
In late April, more than 30 veterans and their families gathered at Sunset Hills to volunteer their talents. Mike Rogers, a retired Army Special Forces colonel who served 3 tours in Vietnam, was named the event chair.
We have a responsibility for those of our brethren who are not here. Honor those who went before, set a good example for those who come after. Together we can do this. We can make this the best wall event we've ever had.
All right. Besides finding volunteers to get all the work done,
to recognize and celebrate the
Mike and Harry solicited recognition from local politicians, including Bellevue Mayor Chuck Mosher.
How did you get interested in this Vietnam Memorial?
To cover event expenses, Colonel Rogers also made numerous fundraising speeches wherever he was invited, including this appearance at the Seattle Downtown Republican Club.
$5,000 is not a huge amount of money.
No, it isn't.
You know, at the Republicans' lunch. It's a huge amount of money for the people who volunteered to put this wall up.
Preparation of the grounds at Sunset Hills for the wall began in spring.
Nice meeting you. So you're putting in the irrigation ditch, huh?
Yes, I am.
As soon as we know when you're going to set up for sure, we'll make sure there's plenty of volunteers to help you doing some of the grunting and humping.
Okay.
You know, because We are not rich in money, but we are rich in volunteers. So I'll be happy as long as there's not a schedule conflict.
Whether speaking to potential donors, visitors, or volunteers, Mike's message is always the same.
Once you're here, once you're in the shadow of the wall, and once you're around those people who have served and their families that sacrificed them, and you leave, you're grateful that you were here.
Well, you recognize Mike Rogers is with me right now, and also J.C. Barr of Sunset Hills Memorial Park. First of all, Mike, I know you put a lot of effort into this, but you also served in Vietnam. You lost friends in Vietnam. What does it mean to you to see this wall?
I think the most important thing is that people understand this isn't a party the veterans are throwing for themselves, and that it's not just about my friends on the wall. I think if I was to speak for them, which I hope we're doing over the weekend, the message should be that this is not a kind of monument that glorifies them as some sort of champion, some sort of knight in an armor with a rifle on their back and a helmet and their muscles bulging as they push up a flag. Not that those aren't honorable visions, but I think when we look at this particular memorial, what we're doing is we're touching a name, and when we do, we remember a 17-year-old's face. And what that does is it takes the soldier out of the soldier and makes him somebody's son, somebody's friend, somebody's brother. So if it was only for Vietnam veterans to come out here, it's not worth doing. It's so that people remember that families have to offer these boys to make a sacrifice to preserve this nation. That's what I do it for.
Mr. Barr, very quickly, it's a great moment for Sunset Hills Memorial Park.
Yes, it is. And we chose to bring the Vietnam Wall to Bellevue here to Sunset Hills because it's our opportunity to give back to the community that supports us so much in the things that we do. And we find that this is the best way to do that.
Gentlemen, thank you both very much. I know you've put a lot of time and effort into this, and what a glorious night we're having so far.
It's been an honor.
Yeah, thank you. We want to remind you that the program here begins at 7 o'clock. There's so much more that we want to talk to you about here. In fact, John Sharifi right now has the story of a local woman's healing experience at the wall. We're going to have that for you in just a minute, but right now we want to go back to Kathy. We are live once again at the Vietnam Wall experience in Bellevue's Sunset Hills Memorial Park as people come here to reflect on the 58,000 lives lost from 1959 to 1975 in the Vietnam conflict. And what an emotional day for so many people, including a woman from Marysville who for the first time got to see her brother's name on the wall. Como's John Sharifi joins us once again with the story of Katie Lovinger and her brother Jack, who was just 20 years old when he was killed in Vietnam. And what a moment it was, John, when Katie got to see her brother's name on this wall.
And I had the privilege of being there with her. Katie, who after more than 3 decades was finally able to say goodbye to her brother Jack Schultz. Here is that moment earlier today when Katie saw her brother's name for the first time. To understand how important this moment was to Katie, you have to understand the military never included Katie in any of the ceremonies honoring Jack after he was killed in battle. And so Katie Lovinger has spent the last 3 decades waiting for today. That's Jack, big brother to Katie. Katie, who will never forget her brother's laugh, his smile.
He was bigger than life. He was very, very tall and muscular and just in very good shape and had a big smile. The part that I remember, of course, as a younger sister is that he was somebody that played with us. And he never ending. He would play with us as long as we wanted to.
Jack was Katie's foster brother, and so when he was killed in battle in February 1969, Katie and the rest of Jack's foster family never got the chance to say goodbye.
One minute they say, this is your brother, and next minute they say, he's not.
Jack's natural family was invited to the memorial service, the family that gave him up, but not the family he grew up with, not little sister Katie, who was 5 years younger than Jack and desperately needing to say goodbye.
I'm not upset that they were. I just wish, yes, yeah. I wanted them to be, and I think they should be. They were his family, but I was his family too.
A sister who was now writing a book to help her heal.
The fact that I never had that opportunity to say goodbye, to see him one more time, and say thank you. for what he gave me and the memories I have of him. I'd sit at the top of the staircase so I could see him. He played to me his favorite record while I listened from above. Come on, babe, can't you see? I'm the Pied Piper, follow me.
The 60s hit song, Pied Piper, was Jack's favorite. And so, it was Katie's, too.
I cry when I hear that song.
It became their song.
Every time I think of those words, I can see him singing it in his funny way. He always sang it in a very comical way. He'd pretend to have the microphone up at his mouth.
When he wasn't singing, he was smiling. When he wasn't smiling, he'd make others smile. And so when he left for Vietnam at the age of 19, Katie's laughter turned to tears because she didn't know if she'd ever see her big brother again, and she never did.
I think I would have wanted to tell him that thank you for being the brother that I was missing, and how much he filled my life, gave me something I needed then.
Can't you see I'm the Pied Piper? Trust in me, I'm the Pied Piper.
And today, on what turns out to be Katie's birthday, she received the best gift she could have ever imagined. On the wall, on panel 33, 13 rows down, is Jack Schultz's name.
I didn't know it'd be so overwhelming to see his name on the wall. It's like the whole world can see him now.
Jack was only 20 years old when he was killed in combat. His sister Katie will never forget the day she heard, and the days that followed.
I wish I could reach it.
Katie was never included in the ceremony honoring her fallen brother. She didn't get the coffin flag, Jack's Purple Heart, his Vietnam service medals. The little sister to Big Brother Jack was never acknowledged. It was like she didn't exist. Never acknowledged because Jack was her foster brother, not her natural brother.
I heard. Huh.
32 years later, just a few hours ago, Vietnam veterans held a private ceremony for Katie, a ceremony to say, we're sorry.
Today I present you the flag that you should have received 30 years ago from a wrong that was done. On behalf of your brother's comrades, I present this flag to you and the medals thereof. The Jump Wings for being airborne, the Purple Heart for having been wounded, the Combat Infantryman's Badge for having served in combat, symbolizing all he stood for and all we stand for.
This afternoon, Katie received something she thought would never be hers. Recognition that she lost her brother in Vietnam, her brother, Jack Schultz, whose name is on panel 33, 13 rows down. At tomorrow's ceremony, Katie will be officially that flag and all of Jack's medals home. We go back to you, Kathy.
All right, thank you very much, John Sharifi. We'll see you a little later. Let's check back in one more time with Dan.
Thank you, Kathy. It is a very special weekend here at Sunset Hills Memorial Park, the Vietnam Wall experience. You can come out here anytime between now and Sunday at midnight, anytime, 24 hours a day. The park is open for you to experience this wall. I can tell you when you walk up to that wall, it is at times a very quiet experience, very sad, very emotional, and very touching. And you will hear conversations as you walk past the panels, people saying, he was my brother, he was a friend of mine in Vietnam. He was my son or he was my dad. And while we remember these people every day, all 58,000 of them, this weekend, it is a very special remembrance. We'll be back here at 6:30. I feel very fortunate to be here. Kathy?
All right, we'll see you at 6:30. Thanks very much, Dan. And ABC's World News Tonight coming up next. We're back at 6:30 and all here tonight at 11. Highlights of the Mariners tonight,
Of course,
too.
absolutely.
Okay, have a good evening. We'll see you at 6:30.
Thanks for watching Como 4 News. For more local news, first for local news, Como 4 News. Fisher Broadcasting.
And I'm Dan Lewis, live in Bellevue at the Vietnam Wall Experience, where thousands are expected for tonight's program.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Gertzen in Fisher Plaza.
Lewis in Bellevue. Como 4 News at 6:30 is next.
Now, the team that brings you more local news. Live from Fisher Plaza, Como 4 News. First for local news.
You're looking at the Vietnam Wall Experience in Sunset Memorial Park in Bellevue. Among those gathered at the wall and for the program that starts in about 30 minutes are Dan Lewis and Steve Poole. Let's go to Dan right now.
Thank you, Kathy, and it is a beautiful night here in Bellevue, a perfect night for the Vietnam Wall Experience. This wall behind me is very similar to the one in Washington, D.C. It is only slightly smaller, but it does contain the names of the more than 58,000 men and 8 women who lost their lives in the Vietnam conflict from 1959 to 1975. So it has been 26 years since that last life was lost over there, but the emotions still run very high. We expect more than 100,000 people actually to visit the park this weekend here at Sunset Hills Memorial Park.
Looking for 14.
The wall has been up just a few hours, but hundreds of people have already visited. The names of more than 58,000 Americans who lost their lives in the Vietnam War are etched on the black granite panels. Some visitors take a rubbing of a name. Others leave flowers, a photograph, and other mementos. This replica of the wall in Washington, D.C. travels to communities all over the country, giving people a chance to remember, to reflect, and to heal. And joining me right now is Patty Hendricks. The program tonight is to remember the women who served, and Patty is one of them. Patty served in Vietnam and will be the MC of tonight's program. Thank you so much for joining us. As a nurse in Vietnam, you have a special connection with some of the names on this wall. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. My experiences in Vietnam were probably different than most nurses even, because I met and married my husband over there. However, in doing that, I also became close friends with many of the members of his unit. And when they came in as patients, it was a little more difficult because they were not only just patients, they were friends. And we lost several of them, some on the operating room table, and that was difficult.
Can you help us understand what it means to you to be able to come here and see their names and maybe even touch their names?
It's a difficult situation. It's hard because you remember the faces and all the things that we did, the fun things we did, and the tragic things that happened over there. It was not easy working in the operating room day after day and watching the guys lose arms and legs, and just the tragedy of the war is just horrible. But I hope the wall gives a healing mode for everyone. It's just wonderful that we can have the wall come here.
And tonight we also honor the women who served. How important is it to you for us to remember that?
It's very important because most women, myself included, we didn't really talk about Vietnam for years and years. And I think now it's becoming more acceptable for the women to say, okay, yes, I served, I went, I did my job, I did my duty over there, and this is what I did. And I think people need to come here to heal, to say, I was a part of Vietnam, and it was all right.
Patty Hendricks, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with tonight's program. Now, for more information on the events that are happening here tonight and all throughout the weekend at the Vietnam Wall Experience, including maps and parking information, you can go to our website, comotv.com, and click on the Vietnam Wall Experience logo, or you can call 425-643-6892. I can tell you that in the hours that I have been here this afternoon, I have walked past that wall several times now, and it is something different that touches you each time. Just moments ago, I was up there and noticed the flowers and the flags
and the notes that so many people leave, one that said, "We are eternally bonded." So many stories here tonight, and that is just one memory from some people and the message that they wanted to bring here tonight. I invite everyone to come out here, whether you know somebody who died in Vietnam or not. This is an experience, I think, that just about everyone should try to enjoy. We'll be back with more. Right now, let's go to Kathy.
All right, we'll check back with you a little later. Thank you, Dan. Coming up next, we'll take a look at how Wall Street and local stocks closed out the week. Plus, Eric Johnson is along with sports and how Lou Piniella plans to fight back against pitchers gunning for Ichiro.
And I'm Steve Poole at the Vietnam War Experience here in Bellevue. Coming up, we're going to talk about our forecast for the weekend and let you know what's happening here and what you can expect for events all over the Northwest. Stay with us. KOMO 4 News is back right after this.
Let's go back to my partner, Dan Lewis, for an update on the Vietnam Wall Experience in Bellevue. Dan?
Thank you, Kathy. I really am amazed by some of the remarkable things that are happening here tonight already, and this will be here all weekend. A reminder, you can come and visit anytime, 24 hours a day between now and midnight on Sunday. But I was just talking to a man who brought his family to see his dad's name on the wall, and while they were standing there looking at the name, he heard a man behind him talking about his dad. It was somebody who had served with him in Vietnam, and they made an amazing connection, and they were sharing stories, and they probably still are. You can tell it is a wonderful night here right now. Unfortunately, it sounds like the weather is going to change, and Steve Poole is with us right now to bring us an update on the forecast. Steve?
Thanks very much, Dan. You know, there are so many folks down here, and all of them sort of getting their own personal experience here with the wall. I know I found mine just a little while ago. This is an etching of a Navy commander named Harley Hall, who was from the state of Washington and was the commander of the Blue Angels, and was shot down and declared missing in action on the last day of the war, the very last day. So many great stories out here and such a way to connect.
Thank you, Steve. Can't be forgetting how important it is to remember the 58,000 names on this wall, the 58,000 families that have been affected by this. There are so many stories to be told about who these people were, how they served, and how they died. So many people tell me that this wall is about healing, and certainly this is a part of U.S. history that we are still trying to come to grips with. I am just certain that a visit to this wall will certainly help as we try to heal from the Vietnam War, 26 years after the last person was killed over there. It's been an enjoyable experience for me, and a reminder for you that you can come out here until midnight on Sunday at any time you would like. I'm Dan Lewis, reporting live from Sunset Hills Memorial Park in Bellevue. Kathy?
All right, thanks very much, Dan. To Bellevue to pay their respects to the heroes of the Vietnam War. The traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial has arrived in Bellevue. Thousands of people are expected to visit the site over the weekend. It contains the names of more than 58,000 Americans who lost their lives in the Vietnam War, some of whom are women. Tonight, those women who served as nurses, clerks, and intelligence specialists in the war were honored.
A bit of shrapnel pierced my neck. In seconds, I was dead. I didn't even have a chance to breathe a quiet goodbye, to gesture, to scream, or to say a prayer or cry. It happened very suddenly, a long, long time ago.
The wall is on display 24 hours a day in Bellevue through Sunday night. Admission is free. For more information, you can go to komotv.com or call 425-643-6892.
People travel for miles to visit the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in our nation's capital, but this weekend local residents didn't have to go too far because a traveling replica is in Bellevue. Thousands have already visited the site that contains the names of more than 58,000 Americans who lost their lives during the Vietnam War. The wall will be on display until tomorrow night. Admission there is free.